oh my God, this truly could be that December to remember. And here's why. It'll be the best time of the year to buy a car. Let's dig into some of the information here.
All right, here's the reason why waiting till December to buy a new car, emphasis on new, not used. We'll do a follow-on video about used. New car makes sense. There's a couple reasons. I'm going to list them out here. Number one, growing dealer inventory for new vehicles. We'll dig into that in a second. Number two, floor plan costs. If you watched our video on Tuesday, you know we talked a lot about floor plan costs. If you haven't, go watch that. We'll talk about it a bit here in just a moment. Consumer incentives. We have already seen trends of consumer incentives going up from the manufacturers. We'll talk about that. Number four, dealer incentives from the automakers. We'll talk about that. And you have end of year sales goals. That's the fifth reason that everyone's going to be pushing towards. Let's run through all five pops, and let's start with number one, on-hand dealer inventory. The latest numbers we have, which came from early October, and we anticipate will be up even more in November and December, are that new car inventories continue to build up and sit at dealers' lots.
Yes, new car inventory, on-hand inventory, which means cars that are already at the lot or in transit to the dealers for the month of October, was a high of 2.21 million. Not too long ago. And when I say not too long ago, maybe 18 months ago, that number was less than a million. Somewhere in the neighborhood of 900,000 units were available on a monthly basis. So it has more than doubled in the last 18 months. So we are finally seeing inventory levels build back up again. Not to where they were pre-COVID, which was when they were running about 3.4 million units available. But the fact that we're up over 2.2 million is a good thing for consumers, for customers out there. That growing inventory means that there will be greater motivation to move some of these units.
And as hopefully by now you know, all the automakers have different inventory makeups. And what I mean by that is some of the automakers, the domestic brands, for example, Stellantis, which is Jeep and Chrysler, Dodge, and Ram, Ford, and many of the General Motors products, they have an oversupply of inventory even amidst what was going on recently with the strike. A lot of your import brands, Honda, Toyota, for example, have not a lot of supply. And so you need to be able to look at days supply of inventory to understand which automakers and then subsequently which dealers are more incentivized to give discounts and to make deals here at the end of the year. That being said, we anticipate in December, all of these numbers on the chart you're seeing in front of you that shows the days supply of inventory broken down by manufacturer, all these numbers will be higher in December. All signs point to it. Even for Toyota, we have got a Toyota dealer in our network talking to us about how they have almost 100 cars on the ground that they're trying to sell. It's happening. It's not happening everywhere, but it is certainly happening. And so as inventory builds up, better deals are available. The second reason, and it ties into it, is the floor plan piece, which is... As inventory sits, cost to carry that inventory goes up as well.
Absolutely. And dealers, where they were used to having very limited inventory on hand that they had to pay for, suddenly they're seeing that inventory grow dramatically. And as we know, most of the inventory that's coming in is the high priced stuff, which means that's more expensive for them to carry than, if they have 100 cars and the average MSRP between those 100 cars is $65,000 per car. That's different than, say, if the average MSRP was $30,000. So the cost to carry that inventory has grown dramatically, 4 or 5 times higher than it was just 2 years ago. And that adds up in a hurry. When you start breaking down that a car sitting on the lot is costing the dealer maybe $15 a day, start multiplying that by 30 days, 60 days, 80 days, 90 days, and you can see that that's got quite an expense for the dealer just to have it sit there, hoping that somebody comes in to buy it.
Now, amidst all of this, we have seen car prices go up significantly. Twofold factors, or two factors there. One is that's actually going to increase the floor plan cost because the invoice cost to the dealer goes up, but we'll leave that for another video. The other factor is that's requiring the OEMs to step up and actually offer incentives to lower the prices back to where people can afford them. And that is the third thing that we're looking for in December. And quite frankly, a trend we're already seeing. Hyundai, import brand, Hyundai Kia, they actually in the third quarter increased their incentive spend by 317% year over year. Hyundai Kia, folks, not Ford, not GM, not Stellantis that have a huge oversupply. Hyundai Kia already increasing their incentive spend 317%. Again, I think that's partly because the prices of the cars have just gone up too much, but they're also seeing the same data we're seeing. They need to motivate people to go buy these vehicles. We expect to see December to remember sales events that are going to be material. There are going to be real increases in incentives. Ford's incentive spend is up nearly 200% year over year. General Motors incentive spend is up more than 50% year over year. We are already starting to see that trend.
And as you can see, we're starting to see the manufacturers absolutely have to increase their incentive spend. In the past, it used to represent, I don't know, about 10 to 11% of a transaction price. Today, it represents about 4.8%, but that number will continue to go up. So we will definitely see the manufacturers stepping up their game when it comes to incentives.
And honestly, I don't know if we're going to get back to 10, 11% in December, but it's going to be the closest it's been in years will be at the end of the year. Another reason to wait. Now, Dad, two factors that a lot of consumers don't really think about, which would be the OEM, the manufacturer, has incentives not only for consumers, but for the dealers. And then the dealers themselves have year-end goals that maybe are incentivized from the manufacturer, could just be internal. Could you touch on those two reasons why December is a good time to buy a new car this year?
Well, many manufacturers have programs for their dealers specific. In other words, sales goals for them to hit to earn additional cash bonuses. So that is typical in December because the manufacturer has a real strong case for a strong close of the year. They have bragging rights that they want for the year over their competitors. So oftentimes, though, not only will there be the consumer incentives from the manufacturers, but there's going to be big dealer incentives from the manufacturers to hit their sales objectives. And assuming that the dealer hits those, in many cases, that can be upwards of $250,000 that a dealer can earn just in additional incentives. Those incentives are designed, by the way, to help encourage the dealer to discount the MSRP in order to make it easier to make a deal.
December of 2023 will go down as one of the strangest and also, I think, best times to buy a new car. Strange because we're coming off of December of last year. Was still a good time to buy a car, but there was no inventory. There was still no inventory. This year, it's an entire 180. All these factors are important to keep in mind when timing your purchase decision. We will probably do a follow-up video. Let us know in the comments down below if you want more tactical suggestions. Should I reach out on December 20th or December 23rd or December 26th? Like, leave your questions for us and I'll ask my dad all of those in a follow-on future video. And Deal School is 100% free. So please, 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 please go to caredge.com/deal school. It is 100% free and you can learn how to negotiate a car when you go to do this at the end of the year. Thank you, Pops. Appreciate your time as always.
You're welcome, but not to steal from Lexus. But let's make this December the real December to remember.